Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. A child protective services case is one of the most frightening experiences for any parent. Don't face it alone. Face it with confidence with Urgent Assist by CPS Protect. You can have access to former CPS investigators to make sure you preserve your rights and protect your family. If you're facing CPS involvement and aren't sure where to turn, their child welfare consultants can help you. Visit cpsprotect.com/subscribe and enter the coupon code Slam the Gavel for 10% off your first year of Urgent Assist. And this is available in all 50 states. I have another announcement. Bradley's mother, Narcus Golan, passed away in the fall of 2022. Bradley is autistic and needs structured routine and therapies he receives for his autism 6 days a week. However, Italy just entrusted Bradley to the Italian Social Services. If he is ruled to go back, he will face the next 3 to 4 years in the Italian foster care system where he can't speak or understand the language, and he will be taken away from the only family he has ever known. Please call Governor Hochul, New York State, 518-474-8390. That's Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390. Hashtag Keep Bradley Safe. And also, please go to the site pleasedoyourjob.com and sign the petition. That's pleasedoyourjob.com and sign the petition. So I have a return guest on. I have Dawn McCarty back on. She's founder of Securing Everything. And the last time she was on was April 7th, 2023, season 4, episode 74. And she was also previously on season 4, episode 62. And the last time we talked, it was about personalizing cybersecurity, your smartphone tracking, VPN, and how we are sitting prey. So I welcome you back, Dawn. You've got a lot to tell us today. Everybody buckle up.
Yeah, so glad to be back because there's so much information I love to share to help people understand and realize that they need to take their safety in their own hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you literally are online.
Absolutely.
It's really not a safe place to be. People don't realize the depth of it.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more research lately too. And, as a cyberologist, my job is to understand what's going on in cyberspace and the behaviors that go on in cyberspace. So I'm looking at how predators act and what their tactics are, what is their modus operandi,
Mm-hmm.
how are they carrying out these activities that I can then take and warn people how to and show them how to spot those red flags. So if you see something like that, I'm hoping that we can start having some basic analysis that in a lot of times we consider the cybersecurity, and a lot of people don't like that word because it sounds so corporate,
Right,
right?
right.
But you're entitled to cybersecurity. You're entitled to be safe online.
Mm-hmm.
Cyber is the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Security is what you are entitled to. We got to get this into the hands of everybody so that they know what to do, because technically they're our biggest army.
Mm-hmm.
Average person, the non-technical, non-cybersecurity industry professional, are our biggest army. And if we're not tapping into them, guess who is? We
Right.
need to tap into them so that they can be safe, because if you're being safe, if you're practicing good cyber hygiene, then I have one less person to worry about, and the cyber creeps have one more person to worry about.
Yes. Yes. And these cyber creeps, as we were talking earlier, they evolve into trolls, which turn into cyber bullies that
Mhm.
also turn into predators.
Right. That could be a catfish. It could be a financial online predator. It could be a sexually motivated predator, be it an adult and or a child. So I call all of these cyber type criminals that do harm. They're the cyber creeps.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of encapsulates all of those, and then each one of them I try to bring out different aspects, because if you're seeing a troll, The troll is there to bring out a negative response. That's their job. A troll could be a 1 or a 2 time event or an occurrence.
Mhm.
When they start becoming more frequent, that is now cyberbullying and or cyber harassment. So they've graduated from being a
Mhm.
troll to a cyberbully or a harasser or then even a stalker.
That's
So the stalker can be someone that may not be aggressive.
Mhm.
They might just be infatuated, but it's still uncomfortable and it's still unwanted.
Mhm.
And anytime you have unwanted connections, you don't feel safe, right?
Mhm.
So that is not permissible for people to just because you're on the internet that you can just reach out to anybody anytime at any place anywhere for any reason.
Mhm.
We've got to set boundaries in space also.
Definitely. Um, it's amazing what some people can do just even on Facebook to harass someone.
Right. Yep. And it happens far too often,
Mhm.
and then the thread can ignite, and that's where the problem gets turns so quickly. So it could start with a troll and end with someone else being the bully,
Mhm.
or someone else being that stalker, someone else being that child predator. It starts with the trolls.
Mhm.
So there's an accountability piece there that trolls may not realize, and they may not intend to be a troll, because it's okay to have a disagreement. It's okay to point out, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying. What's not okay is to demonize someone for a difference of opinion and then try to slam and destroy the reputation, call them names, call them out, try to embarrass them, and then in spread that even further on the internet where it will become viral. That's a troll, and that turns into cyberbullying and cyber harassment.
Now, none of this, I hate to say it, but it seems like none of this really holds up in court if you tried to, like, if you knew who the person was.
And that's the difficult piece. And I have some very strong opinions about this, and I'm working hard to find a way to fix this, at least to some extent. Is we have um, no laws. There's no policing on the internet. There's like, and what I was describing to you earlier is we are flesh and blood people here in the real world, right? In the real world, if I break a law, I'm accountable for it. I can be physically arrested by another physical person.
Mhm.
So there's there's some kind of organization to following the laws there. Now, when I go online, does that negate any responsibility from the law? It shouldn't negate it at all, because that online person is a persona, an extension of me.
Mhm.
It's still me, and I'm still controlling the behavior of that person. Therefore, that persona should still be equally liable for breaking any laws.
Mhm.
Now, when you troll somebody, you're not breaking the law. When you start cyberbullying somebody, you are, because it's unwanted contact. That's enough to get in the real world to get a restraining order if you feel like you're in danger or if somebody is harassing you. So why are these laws not applied to cyberspace?
Mhm.
And it's easy because it's such a huge space. Do we have enough law enforcement to cover that? So my thought is that our police department, our law enforcement need to evolve with technology into policing somewhat of cyberspace. So I'm not saying they need to be looking at everybody's profiles. I'm just saying when a 15-year-old girl calls the police and they say, I am being cyberbullied and blackmailed, and this person is spreading my nude photos all
Mhm.
over the internet to all my contacts, my school friends, my friends and family, what do I do?
Mhm.
And what gets me, and this is a real case. This is Amanda Todd's story.
Mhm.
When she called the police and her mother and her were talking to the police, they basically told them, well, you just need to stay off the internet. This is not the answer. This is the worst response any police department or law enforcement officer can tell somebody. Because, and here's a big reason why we do everything on the internet today.
Mhm.
We have entertainment on the internet. We stream videos. We play games. We socialize. We work. We school. We research. We're doing everything online. You
Mhm.
cannot tell a teenager to stay off the internet because you're hindering now their progress in technology. It's required of kids to, in this day and age, this is the digital age. This is not June Cleaver age. This is the digital age.
Mhm.
And it is a requirement for them to participate in it because there's no way that they can flourish and be successful if we hold them back. So we can't just say stay off the internet.
Oh,
That's an absolute no. Do not tell anybody to solve your problem is just by staying off the internet. That Amanda Todd deserved safety when she was online. She did not deserve to have to be the one to limit her actions online. And instead, that allowed the criminal to continue to harass other people.
mhm.
And when Amanda Todd went back online after a period of time, they found her again and started all over again, ultimately leading to her, death by suicide. So it is such a big, big problem. And we're looking at each other saying, well, what are we going to do about it? So here's what we're going to do about it. We brought her predator,
Mhm.
Aiden Coben, from Norway he was extradited to Canada and he stood trial and he was convicted. The Crown was asking for 12 years. The judge gave him 13
Mhm.
because it was so awful what he put this poor teenager through. She was tortured and tormented and bullied and beaten, and
Oh,
people just wanted her to. I mean, people are mean on the internet. They told her to die, to drink bleach, and to do all kinds of things. This is a horrible, inhumane response to because you're looking at a monitor and you don't realize there's a live person on the other side of that.
mhm.
And so it was very, very, very bad. The whole situation was very bad. But here's the thing. Excuse me, swallow down real quick. Since we were able to bring him from his country, where he was already serving time, 11 years, I believe, he was
Mhm.
already convicted of another crime for other girls.
Oh,
And we were able to extradite him into Canada. Excuse me. He stood trial and he was convicted now internationally. And this is where we're starting to erase the borders. Now, cyberspace does not belong to the United States,
mhm.
does not belong to Europe, it does not belong to any country. That it is an international tool and it requires international law. So we need our our international countries to cooperate and extradite and investigate and go after people that are hiding behind a monitor around the world.
Mhm.
Now, Amanda was in Canada, and this guy was in Norway. He was still able to affect her life drastically,
How
fatally.
how old was she? Do you know?
He was 15 when
15.
yeah, and that
It's,
was in 2010.
uh, and
But I use her story because it really touches on all the aspects of security that I try to teach parents. Unfortunately, this poor girl had all of the things that I try and warn parents about all in one case.
oh,
One case. Now I see girls and boys too, because this doesn't happen just with girls. I see these teens where they have maybe a really bad cyber bully, and it didn't really have anything to do with sexting or sextortion or blackmail. And the bully was bad enough, the experience was bad enough, the pain and the peer pressure was bad enough that they would even maybe die by suicide. So it doesn't always have to be that bad. However, since Amanda's situation and experience was the extreme, that's why I use her story because I can tap into so many different elements of what happened to her
mm,
and why parents need to not only protect themselves or protect their children, they actually need to protect themselves. And here's why I say that.
mm.
I'm not talking about this just because I'm a cybersecurity professional. I'm I'm a cyberologist. I'm not talking about it just because of that. I'm talking about it because as a kid I had my own child predator, and I understand what it's like to have my parents groomed. My parents were groomed. I wasn't the one that was being groomed. So my parents met this person outside of the home, and this is specifically my stepfather. They became friends, and before you knew it, of course, my stepfather was always willing and always looked for opportunity to spread the gospel and to bring people into the church.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, just his way of going about creating friendships, more or less. So he invited this guy to our home. Now, this guy saw me because I used to clean and wax the airplane at the municipal airport there, and he saw me. And that's why he went after my stepfather. Because I'm sitting there washing an airplane in shorts and in a bathing suit, out there with a hose, getting wet, summer
Mm-hmm.
day, sprawl over an airplane. Those are like, and he just happened to be there and decided that he was going to groom my parents.
He had
So
got fixated on you.
yeah, so he got invited to our home, and he would come over and he would play the piano and sing, and my mom just loved him. So they continued speaking about the gospel, and he pretended like he was so interested in that, and he was willing to, take the lessons and consider being baptized into the church. All of these things was just his way of grooming my parents. And he would sit at the dinner table right next to me, and we were having meals together. And at this point I had no idea what he was.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew he was one of my parents' friends. He convinced my parents somehow to ask me out for a slice of pie and a cup of tea. Now, for those of you that don't know, I was raised Mormon, and most Mormons aren't allowed to drink. And I say most Mormons because it depends on your interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't drink tea, they don't drink coffee. So, and my mom was the Nazi Mormon when it
Mm-hmm.
came to following the rules, and I had to follow every single one of them to a T, or I didn't get to do my gymnastics or any other activities. So, when this man, who's 22 years old and I'm 14 or 15, he comes and he asks me out for a slice of pie and a cup of tea. And I'm like, tea? The tea is what flagged me. And I
Mm-hmm.
look over his shoulder. My mom's standing there with a big old smile on her face. She's like condoning this. And I'm like, something is off. I'm not allowed to drink tea. Why is she okay with tea all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt so many red flags at that particular moment that I just decided no. And I didn't curse at him because my mom was standing there, and I didn't tell him, dude, I drink vodka, because my mom was standing there.
Yeah.
So I just basically said, I was an ACDC. I'm not going out for a slice of pie or tea. And I walked out the door and slammed it.
Good for you.
If I had not have done that, if T didn't catch me and
Right.
give me that flag, would I have gone with him and would I have come home?
Yeah.
We don't know. There's no way to know. So over time, I started, whenever he was there, I started inviting my guy friends over. And I had people, my friends there when he
Mm-hmm.
was there, because I felt so uncomfortable around him. And he was still there trying to do damage control. And eventually, because he saw that I had all these guys over, and they were, I had two of them actually fighting over me, which was, I loved it because it was very useful
Yeah.
in getting rid of this predator that's in
Right.
my home. So it took the grooming of my parents, and that's something most parents don't think about. You don't know who's trying to gain access to your kids, and it can happen so smoothly, just like this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I bring this up. It has to. This is why I have the passion and the authority and the experience and the knowledge, the insider experience with it, to be able to bring this to people. and help point out where these red flags are, things that we should be paying attention to when someone tries to approach you, regardless if they're after, your bank account, you or your child. You need to know what those red flags are.
Most definitely. Because even on Facebook, you can have someone bully you and spread misinformation about you. And, some people will say, well, that's defamation. But,
Who do you complain to? Facebook? Facebook's like, keep going. We're loving this.
yeah, right. And you try to say, well, it's hate speech. Well, that doesn't, nothing flies. There's no one to call on Facebook and say, hey, this is what's going on. I think that's also a big problem with some of these companies or whatever they are. They should have a human being on the phone.
Yep. Absolutely. What business do you know of that doesn't have a call, a number to call for customer service? Now, Facebook's going to say we have 2.8 billion users. We couldn't possibly fill that. Well, if you have 2.8 billion users, you got a marketing plan, you got a business plan, you need to hire some.
Mhm.
You need to find a way to have the ability for us to call and, a tip line, a hotline, whatever it is. But here's the other side of this. I don't want to give these tech giants any more leverage than they already have. They're in it to make money. We are how they make money. So they get to make all the rules because it's their business, it's their model, it's their platform. And when we signed up, we first put our name on that and we said, yes, I agree to terms and conditions. You gave up your rights. You cannot go backwards and you can't back that up and say, well, I no longer give you permission to use my stuff because you already agreed to it. You can't go retroactively and unagree to it. The only way to get out of the agreement is to delete your account on Facebook. That's it. There's no way. And if you want to use Facebook, you're going to agree to it again. So you're strapped. And here's the part I hate about that is they have you over a barrel to use a platform or pieces of technology that everybody else is using. So you almost have no choice but to join in and accept those terms and conditions. And it's unfair. There's a monopoly here, and we're not supposed to allow monopolies in the United States anyway, which is where Facebook is founded. So why are we allowing these tech giants to make so many choices and decisions that affect our lives that we have no say in and we can't even call and complain about? And there's so many areas on Facebook and on other platforms. I don't want to just pick on Facebook. There's and then we even have the dark web. Kids can buy any amount of drugs that they want to today, right now, if they know how to access certain areas of the dark web. That is one of the most dangerous things the internet can offer for a child, for anybody really. For anybody. It is such a dangerous place to go. Even if for me, I don't even go there unless I'm going in for something specific. And I have I have everything on the best I can. I have a device that's on a different segment, so I'm not even contaminating the rest of my network. And I take every precaution possible if I have to go onto the dark web. So it's not someplace I want to go because I can bring something back with me I didn't even know I picked up.
Yeah.
It's a scary place. There's things on there talk about predators and cyber creeps. There's a lot of things on there that you wouldn't even think about. So if you look at the dark net or the dark web, think of it as the iceberg. So you have the tip of the iceberg that's visible, right? And then you have this iceberg underneath that's not visible. The tip of the iceberg is the part of the internet that is indexed that we use. That's where Facebook lives. That's where Instagram, Twitter, or Google, all of our searches, all of that information is indexed, and that is the the searchable side of the web. The part that's underneath that you can't see, which is what we call the dark web, and it's dark because it's not indexed. You can't just search for it and find it. You have to use a specific type of browser in order to get there. Anything goes there. There is no rules, no laws. You can sell guns, you can sell humans, you can have humans fight other humans to the death. You can have humans fight other animals to the death. You can, I mean, it is insane what goes on that side of the world. That even happens is just jarring. So there's so many creeps out there. And if we're not policing and at least protecting the searchable side of the internet, the 1%, that's 1%
Mhm.
of the dark net is 99%. It's a big problem. We need to start at least policing and keeping a zone safe. Maybe, and I created the digital safe zones, and maybe we need a digital safe zone inside the internet for people who with kids that can keep them safe.
Right. And these kids are one step ahead of, even their friends,
Yeah,
or, they're creating multiple accounts.
yep. There's no policing. There's not, and that's not even policing. There is no supervision of that. There is no requirement that you can only have one account. So, and something I think we'd have to do is figure out a way to make it simpler to discover who someone is. No
Mhm.
more anonymity. You have to be discoverable because of all the crime. And I know that we have you may have a lot of viewers that disagree with any kind of governance over the internet because it's supposed to be free. I get that. I totally get that. And I really wish that was the case, that we were safe enough, secure enough that that could still exist.
Mhm.
But we're not. We're not. People are in danger every single day. You and your kids are one click away from that predator, and it only takes one.
Yeah.
Then we have catfish.
Mhm.
Catfish, that's another intense form of deception on the internet. So, and we talked a little bit about it before,
Mhm.
but our catfish are intentionally deceiving you in order to gain something. So it's all about their gain, and you're going to lose. So what happens is they put up a fake profile
Mhm.
that's not their photo, information that does not belong to them, and they create a relationship with people on the internet. Now, if I look at and I'm gonna do a video on this because it's insane to watch my own friend requests. So I get friend requests all the time, and I can actually tell you where some of them come from because I have two friends that are women that always show up on the friends and comments list. Now, why would that be? Because they may be accepting any friend requests that they get. And it also means that they are not hiding their friends list so that they can't find me. The only way to send me a friends request is through another friend, another acquaintance.
Mhm.
Well, if you're not hiding your friends list, they can see us. They can see all your friends, and through you, they can access us. So that's why it's so important to hide your friends list so that, or your friends, so that predators can't perpetuate through you and harm your friends or family and loved ones. So that's one piece that will help, because when I get these friend requests, I will do a profile search. I will look this person up. I will first look to see what do we have in common. Is
Mhm.
it evident that we have either I can help them or they can help me kind of situation?
Mhm.
Are we in the same area? Like, are they involved with parental alienation? Are they involved with security? Are they involved with parenting or speaking or something that has to do with me?
Mhm.
If there's somebody that looks like they work on an oil rig,
Yeah. Yeah.
or a doctor, or an army general,
Exactly.
why would someone in that level want to friend me on Facebook? You got to ask these questions. Why
Mhm.
would someone want to befriend me? Because that's not likely to happen.
Mhm.
First of all, an oil rig person is probably not on Facebook at all or any other platform.
Mhm.
They're out in the middle of an ocean for, and who knows how much time. And they don't often have that kind of capacity to spend socializing. They don't have anything to sell.
No.
They have friends and family, so maybe they can, be connected there to keep up with what's going on at home,
Mhm.
but they're not going to be socializing and building profiles on Facebook. Doctors, on the other hand, they're going to have a Facebook presence because they want people to know what their specialty is
Mhm.
and what they can do, but they're not there to make friends. They're not going to request friends.
Right.
People to follow them, not friend them.
Mhm.
That's a business. And then they would connect with specific people that they actually know, but more than likely, they're never going to send any one of us a friend request. So I go and I look at these profiles and I do a reverse image search and I find out, oh, this picture actually belongs to Jose from Brazil, and he is a master surgeon. And this catfish is just basically stealing his photos, pretending to be that person of importance or person of significance, that professional part. And then you'll see me occasionally throw them up on my Facebook wall and say, this is a catfish.
Mhm.
This is who I'm trying to protect. This person is not this person. The real person is this person. And I'll try and show how you can tell. But I need to show how when you continuously get friend requests and two friends in common are on that request almost every time, you get someone that is like totally unknown to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now that means I need to go talk to my two friends and say, hey, can you stop accepting all these friend requests, or can you at least hide your friends so
Mhm.
that they can't find me? Because that's affecting me now. And if I was someone that wanted to boost my friend count, I would accept, 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 accept. And then what am I doing? I'm opening myself up for catfish because half of the requests that I have
Mhm.
are not who they are, who they say they are. They're not. And some of them are who they say they are. Some of them I want to connect with,
Mhm.
and some of them I don't want anything to do with. You've got to look at your friends' requests and make them an informed decision about why would I want them to be able to see anything about my personal life or my business.
Mhm.
And if you're not sure, then don't accept their friends. In fact, a lot of times for business, we end up connecting to a lot of people, and it's still like I cannot promise you that I don't have catfish or other predators connected on my Facebook account because maybe they built their profile to look like they're involved in coaching, or maybe they built it to it looks like they're part of cybersecurity. They can fake all of that information, and if I didn't do my research on them, then I could have actually accepted that friend request. And now they get to see everything I post, which my posts are, my account is public, so you
Mhm.
can see it anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I don't need them to have that close of a connection to
Mhm.
me. And if you're not a public profile and you want to limit that, then you really need to be restrictive on who you accept as a friend, because the catfish will use your information, everything you post, all of your friends, to gain information from you, but not only that, to use it against you.
Mhm.
For example, if you have, let's see, one example would be someone wants to friend you. Now, I'll use a cyber side and then I'll use a normal side. So, first of all, maybe you work together and this person's brand new and they've been there for a couple of weeks, so they've had enough time to get the lay of the land,
Mhm.
figure out who's who, who's close to what, who would have access to what, and then they select you to be friends. They
Mhm.
start hanging out with you in the cafeteria or coming by your desk to have conversations all the time. They find out enough about you on your social media profile because guess what? We tell them what kind of food we like, where we like to go, who we like to go with. All of that information is available to do their research against you. So then they tell you that, oh yeah, I love barbecue. Maybe you told someone last week on Facebook, this is my favorite place to go.
Mhm.
That has information they can use against you. So they start talking to you about your favorite things. And you think, hey, this guy, we have a lot in common.
Mhm.
Let's be friends. So then you give them you say, let's connect on Facebook. Some of your posts are public, some aren't, but he could still see enough to find out enough information about you. So
Yeah.
this catfish's intent is to basically gain access to accounts or platforms that he shouldn't have, and he knows that you have that access. So that's his goal. His goal is to gain access to something. So you hang out, you invite each other over to each other's house. You know each other's families. You're doing all kinds of stuff that just seems normal friendships, right?
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden, the catfish will say, "Hey, let's have a working day. Let's go meet up for coffee and hang out together." After 2020, that's not even unheard of. So you go hang out at a coffee shop and you're working. You both work from home, or you're both able to work remotely. So you're now at a coffee shop with your laptop and their laptop, and they're just waiting for an opportunity. And this opportunity could take weeks. It could take just one time.
Hmm.
So you get up, you go refresh your coffee or go to the restroom, and they can put something, they can plug in a new USB on your computer. You don't even recognize it or realize it. They can also have you watch, maybe they're trying to log into a system. And they're like, my account's not working. I can't get logged in for some reason. I know I just changed my password, but I swear this is what the password was. And they're like, and you know that they have access to it. They don't know that you don't have access to it. So then you say, hey, could you log into this for me?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then you go and you log in with your account information. You didn't tell them what your password was, so you think it's safe. Yeah, no, it's not safe because they had a keylogger or some kind of program that would collect that information. And you just gave them full access. And guess what? Tomorrow you're not friends anymore. They're gone. They never reach out to you again. They don't answer your calls. They don't work at the building anymore. They leave the job because they got what they needed. And that was the only intention. They didn't intend to have a lifelong friendship. They intended to socially engineer you into believing that they were who they said they were as a catfish. That's one example.
That's creepy.
That's one example. And they will do that. They are very patient. The other examples are for love. And I don't know if you've seen the movie Catfish or the TV series Catfish. I've seen every single episode. And I've studied a lot about this, and it's a psychological, emotional impact on people to feel like you have a friend online only to be deceived.
Hmm.
And they play this role because they're hoping to gain something from you. Maybe they don't even know what it is they're going to gain from you. It could be money, it could be access to someone else, it could be all kinds of reasons why someone would catfish you. So they may be interested in creating relationships with you, and remember, it's a fake profile picture, it's a fake name. It could be a male and the name is a female name. You don't know who you're talking to at all.
Right.
So that you establish this online relationship, and it builds into where you believe you're in love, and it's a cyber love because you need to love someone. There's a physical element to it. You can't just love someone online with the whole thing. So when you are tricked into believing someone actually loves you, that's when they know, okay, I got this person. This person loves me. They'll do anything for me.
Hmm.
And then they start saying, I can't come and visit you. First of all, they never show themselves on a Zoom call like this.
Right.
They won't actually meet you in person. They won't take new photos of you. And if you look on their profile, there's no new photos of them on there either.
Hmm.
So that's one way you can tell this is probably not a good profile. But what they're going to do now is they're going to come up with reasons why they can't. I can't come and see you, or I couldn't meet you the other day because, I was in jail and I need bail money. Or I have to hire an attorney, but it's going to cost me $1,500. I don't have it. Could you loan me the 1,500 and I'll pay you back? And that's when this kind of stuff starts coming in.
Right. And they always want by Western Union.
Yeah, well, they're getting smart with that now realizing, because Western Union has took a major hit. And so a lot of that is harder to do these days. They want you to go buy a Visa gift card or an
Uh,
Amazon card, or some kind of card that you can get from any store now, load that with money, and then mail it to them. Or you actually not even mail it to them. They're going to ask you to send them the electronic version of it, so you can't even tell law enforcement where you mailed it to. And if you did mail it to somebody, it's not their address, it's a PO box or some kind of spoofed address. So all of it is about the financial gain by gaining you as a friend or a love interest. That's the goal of catfish. They're there to deceive you. So you have to really look at people you meet and pick up those social cues. So we have to be more aware these days because we're not paying attention anymore. Our noses are stuck in our phones.
Right.
We're looking down instead of looking around us.
Mhm.
We're looking down instead of watching their behavior towards something else. Are they always on the phone? Are they hiding their screen? What is it that they're doing that could be a red flag for you? Watching their body language, seeing how they respond to things, what they do rather than what they say. You got to pay attention to all of that these days because technology gives them amplified power. It's like the common grifter back in the day
Mhm.
before technology on steroids. So it's insane the type of deception that we can fall into because we're trusting people.
Mhm.
And that's how we should be able to be trusting people. Kids should be able to be safe online. We should not have to worry about what's going to happen because we turn on a webcam. None of that should be what we have to do.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to say that that's not the case, and you're going to have to start paying attention to who's around you. Get your nose out of your phone. Start looking up and looking around. Look at what your kids are doing. Are your kids looking at you or are they doing what you do?
Mhm.
Are they now sticking their nose in their phones and they have no idea who's around them? And when your guard is down,
Mhm.
that's when we make mistakes.
Ugh, and costly ones at that.
It'd be very costly. And we're not talking about just financing or financial, we're talking about lives.
Mhm.
Our lives are in danger to some extent when it comes to this. And if we can't prevent some of this stuff, it could lead to that.
Mhm.
Right now there's a rise in dating crime where people are meeting and being raped.
Mhm.
Raping online now is becoming a thing. You gain access to people, you meet up in real life, and then all of a sudden that just went bad. And that's
Yeah.
not even a catfish. That's someone that's pretending to maybe be who say their real name, or maybe they're obscure, maybe they're not divulging all the information.
Mhm.
But how are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove it wasn't consensual
Mhm.
when you show up? So there's a lot of elements to that we have to start breaking down, and law enforcement needs to help by helping to break this down into, one, we need to educate everybody and bring awareness, and then we need to start holding people accountable. But we also need to start thinking about, would I walk down that dark alley in real life?
Yep.
Would I really meet someone that I didn't know in real life?
Mhm.
You can't believe the persona anymore. The persona online, you have to have skepticism. You have to think what they told me could be true. And maybe you're in love with the part that they told you is true. You have to have that little thought in your head that I have to remember that none of this could be true.
Mhm. Exactly. And, you know, even, your own friends that you think are friends can have 7 different accounts with
Yes.
different
Yeah.
names.
And I like to split it up too. So when I meet someone in person, I can say we are friends.
Mhm.
When I meet someone online, we are at best cyber friends.
Mhm.
Now, I can change that. You and I have, for example, where we've known each other long enough and we're in the same circles. We know people that know each other.
Mhm.
So we know that we are who we say we are. We know what our passion is, what we're working on. So now I can say, yes, Marianne and I are friends because I know her well enough from what I've been able to see and ascertain online through other people that we work with and other people that I actually do know in person.
Mhm.
So now we can establish the fact that we're more than just cyber friends.
Mhm.
But everybody else that you cannot do that kind of research on, or any kind of um, ascertain who they really are through other people, they are only a cyber friend. They're never going to be a true best friend.
And that's hard for some people because people are lonely
Yes.
and they prey on that.
And that's the other sad part too, is the internet can solve a lot of loneliness. It's so sad. There's so many good things about being able to connect to people around the world and have companion, because there's somebody in this world that will want to get to know you.
Mhm.
It just might have a geographical problem with being able to be in person.
Mhm.
And we should be able to socialize online without fear of safety. And that's not the case. It's just not the case. We have to always consider that there is some danger to every relationship we create online.
Exactly. Yeah, and no one thinks of that.
Mm-mm.
And, and kids are inexperienced, teens are inexperienced, their brains aren't fully developed. Even in some adults, I don't think their brains are fully developed.
Well, and I like to say, and I say this quite often, is kids are technology experts, no doubt. They know technology a lot better than a lot of people because they're born into it. It's like an innate thing, and they just get it.
Mhm.
However, they are not security experts, and
Mhm.
they can't be. At their age of development, they are not good decision makers, first of all. They're too spontaneous, they're too curious, which is where they're at in their development. That's normal. But when you throw the internet into the mix, it changes the urgency of, oh my gosh, kids are not prepared for this. And we're handing them devices as soon as they're old enough to be able to grasp and hold on to it.
Mhm.
So as early as 3 months old, if they
Right.
can hold a phone, they've got a screen in front of their face. When they're in the car seat, you're driving down the road, kids they're locked into a seat
Yeah.
and they have a focus point of a screen.
Mhm.
And we're just giving them screen time over and over and over again from such a young age. And now I don't believe in all the research that I've done that is that anybody under the age of 2
Mhm.
should not be given any screen time. That's under the age, excuse me,
Mhm.
under the age of 2. I
Mhm.
know kids that can't even talk that are scrolling through YouTube. So under the age of 2, they should not have access to screen time. TV is one thing
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
a smartphone and that kind of stuff because TV is regulated. There's a lot different. It's a lot different than what they could stumble across on a device. Ages 3 to 5, they need maybe an hour tops of screen time a
Mhm.
day. Hour tops, like not even that. When I was in elementary and middle school, I only had 30 minutes of TV time that I was allowed to have. 30 minutes
Mhm.
of TV time in middle school. I had to be outside playing. I had to be doing other things. I couldn't watch TV for more than 30 minutes a day. So now we're saying, I don't care how much you watch this because a lot of times parents think, and it makes sense. They're inside. They're safe. I know where they're at. I know they're in their room. There's nothing can hurt them. I totally understand that. But that screen time turns into an addiction, and it's getting more and more prevalent today in teens. That addiction to the screen creates other problems, other addiction. You got gambling, gaming, porn. There's everything's available on the internet.
Mhm.
So if they get addicted to the screen, they can get addicted to any one of those.
And very quickly at
Very
that.
Especially if their friends and peers are doing it.
This is
So
a very valuable, piece of knowledge that you have given us today.
yeah, so this is these are all different zones. The internet, you can call it an onion, but I call it zones.
Yeah.
I have the digital safe zones, which I use to help create depending on the topic that needs to be taught. So I have a digital parenting zone. So, just as that as an example, we have to start educating based on the zones that are needed. So there's so many different areas, and it's hard to cover just one, when there's so many needed. That's why I had to break it into chunks. I literally had to break it into these zones
Mhm.
of types of training and even who the training might be for. Because it doesn't matter if you're a parent or not, you need to learn how to keep yourself safe online.
Mm.
So digital parenting zone is for parents with kids that access the internet, but then I also have the technology zone for people that don't have kids, that they still need the same training, but I'm just not training them as a parent. I'm just training them as an individual, and so on. So, these zones I think help make the internet a little bit more easier to, how to be safe on it, a
Mhm.
little easier to understand, taking it in chunks, little consumable pieces rather than trying to swallow the whole thing.
Yeah.
So gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad to know you and to have you on here and talk about this. And how can parents reach you?
Yeah, I'm all over the internet, but I just got the new website up. It's running. There's still some improvements we have to make, but it is running. It's securingeverything.com, and that's where the digital safe zones are. So right now we have the digital parenting and then the technology pieces going up. And courses are going to be coming soon because we're recreating the courses out of a webinar style into more of an actual course type thing. So those things are coming. I'm all over Facebook under Dawn McCarty.
Mm.
So most of the time you can find me very easily that way. And my link tree is at Dawn McCarty as well. And of course, follow that YouTube channel because more content will be coming.
Okay. Yeah. So that's secureeverything.com. So on YouTube,
You
are
can
you,
find me at Dawn McCarty on YouTube.
oh, on YouTube still. Okay. All right. I'll put all of that in the podcast notes. I totally thank you for your time on this because it's so important.
Yeah, and that was, it was hard to really kind of stay in the lower levels of these conversations of each of those areas. We started with cyber creeps,
Mhm.
and just to give you an idea of the amount of cyber creeps we're really talking about. So each creep has their own zone, for example.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really kind of hard to cover such a broad topic. We've got to kind of compartmentalize
Mhm.
those areas. So if you need to know about catfishing, we talk about catfishing. You
Mhm.
know about online or child predators, we talk about that. Meeting someone in real life for meetups, we got to talk about that. So that's that's why I had to, we call them cyber creeps, but then we got to break them down even further because everybody's need is different. Not everybody has a catfish, but not everybody has a child predator either. So it just depends on what is the immediate need for each person.
Mhm. Mhm. And also, congratulations to you. You took first place in the International Pitch Battle Royal.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I
Hey.
did. I took an international first place on that. That was
That's huge.
that was fun. That was amazing.
Yeah, because apparently there were 29 business owners from 5 countries
Yes.
with only 30 seconds on the mic. So that's
30
just like
seconds on
beat
the
the
mic.
clock.
You had to drop it. You had to say it and drop the mic very quickly. And do you want me to? I can give it to you real quick if you want. You want to hear
Sure.
it? Let me get here. Okay. It's been a while, so I have to kind of make sure I'm remembering what I'm supposed to say. So, all right, 30 seconds on the clock. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dawn McCarty, founder and CEO of Securing Everything, and I'm an award-winning cybersecurity expert and cyberologist. I make cyber simple for parents who are overwhelmed with technology. 66% of parents say that it's harder to parent today than it was 20 years ago. So imagine if you could have a confident conversation about technology with your vulnerable yet tech savvy kids without all the drama.
Mhm.
Parents who have worked with me have a more positive relationship with technology and their kids. So download, and that's the call to action where I ask them download a checklist so that they can become a digital parenting pro.
Excellent. Well said.
Winning pitch, of course, without the CTA at the end.
Oh, that was great.
Yep, that's the one that won. So I was amazed.
Oh, wow.
Amazed.
Well, I still would like to have you back on again and talk more about this dark web and things like that.
We need to talk more about the dark web for sure, because kids are going there and it's super dangerous. I mean, I would say it's far more dangerous than anything we see online today.
Right.
Is kids going to the dark web. Anybody going to the dark web, I would not advise it. It's just not safe.
No.
Not safe. And you can buy, the attraction is you can buy almost anything there, but it's just not safe.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And the things that you can buy there, you don't want other people being able to buy. So it's just not safe.
Right.
Period.
That people have to wake up.
Yes.
Goodness.
We have to bring humanity back into what we do online. There has to be a human element to it.
Definitely. Well, hey, don't jump off. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again here with Dawn McCarty in the future and other exciting guests. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank you. I was glad to be here.
I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.